You know, if there are 1,000 people in this room, there are 1,000 stories, moving, poignant stories. I've become so interested in the human aspect of governance. Michael Moore helped me a lot on this too, because he grew up in Flint, Michigan, another automobile center in Michigan. And he came to me in Washington one day in my congressional office, and he said, "Congressman, I sold my house. I borrowed all the money I could, and I'm going to Hollywood to make movies." And I said, "Oh no," to myself. I said, "Oh no, they'll be waiting for this guy when he gets off the bus in Hollywood. He'll be another waiter, wants to be a movie star, wants to be a producer." The first thing Michael Moore did, the first documentary he wrote, he went and filmed and produced it straight to the top. It was Roger and me. And everyone kept getting, now the guy is wealthy. I was worried that he was going to hit on me for some money in the office. And I was saying, "Oh no, I know what he's getting ready to do. I know where this is going." But it didn't. But he took this issue of universal health care, and what he did around sicko was to raise this whole level of understanding that the wealthiest nation can't have 47 million people without a dime's worth of insurance. Can't have 43 million don't know that they're not covered for what they're going to need to come in for. And so, with the NAACP, and Julian Bond is doing a great job, and we've got Reverend Wendell Anthony in Detroit doing a great job. All of these millions of people indirectly and directly supporting this great organization, working on trying to solve the great problems of our day. The transformative experience in my life was meeting and understanding and working with Martin Luther King Jr. I was in law school, and I said, "Well, I can't wait to get down there." You know, sometimes you really got to feel history and live it. I knew this was so powerful, what was going on there, that I knew I was going to end up in it. I had no idea where it would lead. That Rosa Parks down there, and bus boycott, and Martin and Coretta, the little kids. But it's funny how things come together. Out of that experience, I began to understand that we have opportunities here beyond our comprehension for many people. But for many of our youngsters, who know only the indignities, the abuses, the put-downs, the feelings of inferiority that develop as a result of growing up in a dysfunctional family. Not that most families aren't dysfunctional to some extent. But that they understand at an early age that they come from a neighborhood that's unsafe, a school that's broken down, a system that we don't even know where they're going in terms of jobs. And So, to me, we've brought together two kinds of people that I began to think they're thinking the same things. You see, when you take the political crimes, pardon my language, that have come off in Washington, and then and you ask yourself, why are they doing this? What is the point? They're already wealthy. I'm so disappointed with the federal court system that I almost didn't put in that bill. That was for adjusting the compensation of federal judges. Was that the bill you're referring to? I would love to see lots of federal judges quit. There's only one problem. They shouldn't be there. And I've had a rare opportunity and privilege to get and meet a lot of them. There's only one problem. The judges I want to quit are wealthy already. And so, after I look at this record of the Supreme Court, which is abysmal, we move to the right so fast. Even Justice Breyer said, we've never moved this far, this fast in our existence. But everybody that I wouldn't have introduced that bill to adjust upward the compensation of judges. But the ones I want to quit are rich already. They could care less about whether I adjust the pay for the likes of Hopkins and Keith and a lot of others that are really giants in the law. And so I introduced it anyway. I'm reading these opinions, and if you don't think that voting next year to get a change in the direction, I mean, it's 5-4 now. There have never been so many 5-4 decisions in Supreme Court history, and if they can get just one more judge on the Supreme Court, we are going to move much further backward than even Justice Breyer wrote in an opinion. And he's a very calm kind of person, but you know, he just couldn't take it anymore after he sees issue after issue being very cleverly parsed to end up with the wrong decision, but intellectually brilliant. All the legal phrases are there. Reasoning is crummy, but you know. But it reads well, sounds good, but when you put them all up and stack them up, we're in big trouble. And we've got to begin to figure out how we get into another direction. That's what the persons who were outside with a big impeachment sign. Fortunately, I got here early enough. They didn't see me. But I don't know who they wanted to get to read it. But we get it all the time anyway. Don't worry. And don't worry to find me. And I want to say a word to all my friends. Because all them teachers weren't on the outside, there's some on the inside too. But there's a problem with using the constitutional provision for removal. And you have to understand that never in the history of this republic have there been so many people eligible for constitutional removal at the same time as they are now. That would have to be examined quite carefully to to find out that they should go off of this list. And therein lies the problem. And so people are saying, you've got a constitutional duty. They cite me the article in section. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But, you know, there comes a time, one of the wonderful things about governance is that you take advice, but the people that send you to govern in the councils or in the court or in the Congress, they send you there because of your judgment, not how much advice you can take. There's plenty of advice floating around. Most of it's unsolicited, but hey, nothing wrong with unsolicited advice. But you've really got to understand the longer range picture. Sure, we could jump out here, and there are days that you might feel inclined to do so, but there's a longer frame of reference. The Constitution is there for a lot of very good reasons, and what we're trying to do is look at the long haul and the fact that after 12 years, we've finally gotten back into a position where we set the agenda. And boy, is that different being in Congress when you set the agenda than when somebody else is setting the agenda. Well, I have extra pockets in my jackets now because I have, of course, I have letters of invitation to come to our committee to talk. Then we have another pocket for subpoenas in case the invitation didn't take well. And then we I have my third lining, so I have contempt citations for those who ignore the subpoenas, which send out the sergeants of arms to bring you back into the Congress, where we can have this discussion under oath and in public with all the transparency that is required. So we have this wonderful opportunity. Do we seize this rare moment in American history? And by the way, is anybody here recommending that we take out the president so the vice president can take his place? I haven't met one person yet that wants to do it that way. So that means you have to have a serial. We never had any serial impeachment action. I've never heard of that. It goes, and then the lawyers, they can think of all these very cute angles and wonderful conundrums. But what we have to do here, as an organization that has stood in this struggle and come from so far back, I was with one organization yesterday, and they were talking about the time in the 30s when the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People worked with the Federal Bureau of Investigation in the South to uncover slavery that was still going on in the 30s. And guess what we found out? That worldwide, slavery is still going on. Detention terms. And we're going to come up with a case from somewhere in the United States. But it's mostly stamped out. But we live in a a very curious circumstance here, because we have tremendous ideas, cultural developments and attitudes. I'm going to give you two examples. The first is this velour jacket that I'm wearing. It's about 5 days old. Wonderful jacket. Compliments come to me from all directions. Wonderful. And I didn't have to have a tailor. I walked right in and pulled it off the rack. And then I tell my complimenter, and guess what? It cost $79. I said, wow, where'd you get that? But you know, yesterday I started thinking about something. Hey, if this cost me only $79, I wonder who made this and under what circumstances. We all like a deal, a bargain. But wait a minute. If we can get it, where did it come from? You can bet it wasn't made inside the United States. You don't even have to worry about that. But I just began saying, I wonder if I could trace this jacket back to its manufacturer. I wonder if I could see who the people were and the conditions they were working under, and how old they were, and how many hours they worked, and what did they get paid. But we want a deal. Look, I got a bargain, folks. Please, don't test me on that. We all love a bargain. And so we have these kind of awkward contradictions in our philosophy of life. Here's another one. Nothing makes me cringe more. I don't hear it much anymore, but I used to hear it a lot. This song the kids were playing, I don't know what the words were even, but I know what the title was. Get rich or die trying. Anybody ever hear that? Get richer. These are pre-teens talking like that. Get rich or die trying. Where do you get that? I never listened to it. There weren't anything like that to listen to. But then you go to work and you find that through Abramov and DeLay and Gonzalez and Monica Goodling and Rumsfeld, they were creating a political corridor off K Street that was going to handle all the federal legislation from the block that the lobbyists were on, straight through Congress to the White House. That was get rich or die trying. Only it was much more elegant than that. You know, the kids that's the way the kids saw it. But that's the way I began to say, wait a minute. We have pictures of former key officials in the government who were hugging Saddam Hussein. He was an ally. We supported him. Oh, well, yeah, but that was John. This guy was bad. But these are the kind of contradictions that somebody's got to look at in addition to those of us who are gathered tonight. What an important way for us to begin to re-examine what it is we're going to do for the rest of our life. Because a lot of the kids today are caught up in a thing that Dr. Paul Farmer wrote in the Pathology of Power. They're caught up in not violence that we all abhor, gang crimes, drugs, shootings, violence. But he wrote about something else. He wrote about structural violence. Structural violence. Well, structural violence, he describes, and he works in Haiti and Africa as a chair in a department in Harvard Medical School. But he said structural violence is something that you are born into, and the chances of you getting out of it are so infinitely remote that you might be the hope of 1 in 100 million. You might be the Bob Johnson, but the odds and your fate are mostly sealed. You are doomed just because of the color of your skin, the dysfunctionality of your school, family, neighborhood, and everything else around you. And besides that, there are no jobs. And you say, well, how did he end up in crime? Well, he didn't have to do that. Do you know what people will do to survive? Well, I tell you, anything. In the end, anything. And that's what's happening in many countries around the world. Well, what do you have to bring up the rest of the world for? Because this globe keeps getting smaller and smaller. This 192 countries and 6.6 billion people keep getting smaller. We're worried about pollution in China because pollution doesn't have boundary lines. National territory means nothing. Their pollution is going to be our pollution. That's one reason to be concerned about it. The other reason is that an infinite number of Chinese are going to die a terrible death because the pollution is so out of control. Well, they're getting it straight for the Olympics for next year, but that's just masking the problem. So we come here tonight to re-examine just a couple of things, because that's what determines what action we're going to take tomorrow and the rest of our lives. Because if you're not thinking along this way, you were at a dinner and it was great. But what you're going to do, what you're going to say, what you're going to set as an example, well, it's something else. That's going to be determined by really what you believe in. And that's what makes this organization so powerful, because it can contribute to these transformative experiences that set you on just a little bit different course. I guess I'll do something different. I guess I'll do a little bit more. And so we come together today with Gina 6 hanging over our heads. But there are genes all over this country. That didn't just start a few weeks ago. They're in my state and your state. They're all, not all down south either. And we look at the criminal justice system and how far off it can get. Prosecutor walks in and says, I can change your life with the stroke of a pen, kids. And don't you forget it. And then proceeded to do it. What about the terrible tragedy of Katrina? It's still unresolved. We're not working on the natural event. We're working now on the neglect of the government to respond to the natural event. And the neglect is so profound that it's still, the suffering is still going on. A few musicians are coming back and, you know, we're trying hard. But there are hundreds of thousands of people now living in other places in the United States that have no place to go back to. Their home is gone. They can't get relief. And so we look at that and we say, you know, I'm going to try to see that we have an accounting for people to do more about it. What do you want right away, Conyers? Well, I want to get out of Iraq right away. I want to end this war. And there are no good solutions now. So we have a president that says, well, this is going to have to be solved on somebody else's watch. Can you read that? After getting this in there, he said this is going to be my successor's responsibility. And so, with his bad strides and cowboy boots and grimaces, we've come into a new era, folks, where we're beginning to analyze our political leaders from a psychological point of view. And we've had the first book ever published by a medical doctor, Frank, Medical School, University of Washington University. It's called Bush on the Couch. I read it, of course. And I want to just, I'm not going to tell you what's in it. It's not non-political, but it's a medical book. It's an analysis of this 45th president. And here's how I felt. And I say this to people. Before I finished the book, I felt sorry for President George W. Bush. I actually honestly feel sorry for him. I dislike him. I don't dislike him as much as I used to. When you understand where a person's coming from, you begin, I didn't know that this happened to him as a kid. I didn't know that his parents unintentionally created problems for him. I didn't know that he failed in every business he ever started. I didn't know that his mother told him he couldn't even win for governor. I didn't, and certainly not for president. And I began to see a new picture from a medical point of view, if you will. But here's a guy that's had problems. But these problems are now being foisted on not just us, but the world. They said, you gotta go get this guy. He's going into Iran. Well, wait a minute. If you start a removal action, that might provoke him into Iran. I don't know what. I do not profess to have any understanding. I read it. We got a problem. And now more and more people are being looked at in public office. We'll probably get down to some of you in offices within the state. You want to figure out, what's your mindset? Do you have a continuing connection with reality? Or when things are at their very worst, do you bounce off to the cameras, you're cockier and more confident than ever? I'm looking at this person and I'm saying, why is he so overjoyed about all the news is bad? And he's more buoyant than ever. Then this is going to unfold. Sooner or later, somebody's going to do something on Conyers, and you say, oh yeah, he was the one talking about people being analyzed all the time. My turn will probably come as well. But what we're doing here is beginning to make democracy work. That's all I want. I want the popular will. I want a democracy to mean something more than an elite few determining the fate for the rest of us. I don't want superficial political system. I want a real political system. And I've had this great fortune. My congressman called me in when I was at law school and said, we need somebody, your name is come up. And I said, he explained it, I listened. And I said, well, thanks a lot. But I don't think I can take this position because as soon as I finish law school, I'm going out and beat either my state senator or my state rep, so I won't need to work for a congressman. Thank you very much. When my father and the labor people in Detroit heard what I'd done, they called me in for a brief meeting and said, look, buddy, that could be the most important thing that could ever happen to you if you think you have a career. We recommend very strongly that you go back on your knees into that office if you can get back in and see if you can be reconsidered. And I did. And he reconsidered. And sure enough, the United States Supreme Court issued an opinion that said any state that does not redistrict after the decennium of the congressional districts, from now on, we will form a 3-panel court of judges, and we will redistrict for you. And there was Michigan, just in violation. And we said, well, if these fellows in Lansing, Michigan did what they ought to do, guess what? There could be 2 African-American members from Congress and not 1. And guess what? You could be one of those guys, Conyers. This was Conyers talking to Conyers. So we challenged. And the court said, Michigan, redistrict or else. So we submitted a plan. And guess what? The Republican governor of the state, Father of the Romney that's currently running, said, okay, we got to do this. We're going to give those Democrats the plan they want least. That's the Conyers plan. That's what we're going to give. And they gave us that. And I ran on that plan. And I won by 128 votes after a recount. And that was totally, nobody figured that could happen except the small number of people. And this is the kind of society and system we live in. We have all this opportunity. More than you, and when you travel to other countries, you really see how terrible things are. South Africa, we've got big problems. Most of Africa is like Haiti. I'll be going to Haiti this weekend, back to Haiti. Because we've got to understand now that in addition to nations that are militarily consumed by all these weapons that the developed countries are providing to developing countries with, we now have the individual capability of people to commit huge acts of destruction by themselves. People who don't care anymore, that don't worry about whether they're going to get rich without trying. They've given even up on that. And so, at this 52nd dinner, we come with new concerns, new challenges, as we still continue to get rid of the whole. That's why I'm so proud of the NAACP. So I've been active in working with it. When Rosa Parks came to Detroit, after she couldn't get a job as a seamstress, after the case went to the Supreme Court, they said no more segregation. The boycott worked. She had to leave Alabama to go find work, and she came to my city. And we knew each other. And Martin King gave me the only endorsement he's ever given anybody, according to his wife. When I was writing a biography, she called. She said, John, they say King, my husband, endorsed you. Martin doesn't give out endorsements. And I said, boy, when he endorsed me when he came to Central Methodist Church on Good Friday in 1964, I wore that on my forehead for the rest of the campaign. She said, well, everyone's telling me that, so. And so I carry this wonderful empowerment that guides me in this transformational way. I introduced the first King bill 3 days after his assassination. So what's the highest thing that you could do for somebody that's changed your life? I said, well, you should have a birthday. And members came in and they said, well, put me on your bill, John, but did you know there's not going to be any birthday for a black man that challenged his government? And 15 long years after, we got the Martin Luther King holiday bill. That's what I believe. There's a lot of things that we don't think we do. And that's why I joined you here proudly. We're going to be hanging around Cincinnati a lot between now and next year. And I hope by the brevity of my remarks will get me reinvited to see you. Thank you very much.
Let's give him one more round of applause. I know that I stand on the shoulders of many giants that are here in the room, and giants like Chairman Conyers. And we thank you so very much for taking time out of your schedule, very busy schedule, to come here to address our 52nd Freedom Fund dinner. And I humbly thank you for that. And I've been watching your leadership as a young man on Gen 6 and how you speak truth to power, saying we're going to have some hearings and we're going to call some people to Washington and ask them some tough questions. That is a man of integrity and a man who is using his power to change America. I heard in his speech the word impeachment, universal health care, changing our courts. We must vote community. We must vote, and speaking truth to power. I thank my brother, Dr. Herbert Smitherman, for his efforts to get you here, Chairman Conyers, Judge West, who provided tremendous leadership on security here today. This was not Christopher Smitherman. Yeah, I needed longer arms to get Chairman Conyers. And Judge Hopkins, all of your energy and efforts to get our keynote speaker. I thank all of you for your efforts. I want to thank State Representative Tyrone Yates for his work in getting Lieutenant Governor Lee Fisher here, and we certainly appreciate your efforts in doing that state representative. Thank you all for supporting the Cincinnati branch of the NAACP 52nd Annual Freedom Fund dinner. This is probably one of the few events in Cincinnati where people representing all walks of life select to break bread together as part of a group this large. We of the Cincinnati branch of the NAACP are happy to host this breathtaking event tonight. You made this happen. This year's Freedom Fund dinner theme, Freedom Through Justice, is so appropriate, given the fact of our national and local concerns with our judiciary system. The Cincinnati branch of the NAACP is still community, very concerned with the following issues. No African American judges ever in the history of Hamilton County have served on our juvenile courts in Hamilton County. This must change. No African Americans who have served on our first appellate court, even when we had the great Judge West. Today, no African Americans who have ever served on our first appellate court. We must change that, Cincinnati. We are as concerned that out of 111 assistant prosecutors, that there are less than 6 that are African American. Cincinnati, we must change that. The Cincinnati branch sees a pattern that we are very, very concerned about, and that there is over-prosecution, that there is overcharging, and that there is over-punishment of African Americans right here in Hamilton County. And I pledge to you as your president of the Cincinnati branch that I'm not going to go to sleep, that I'm not going to go away, that I'm going to continue to challenge these issues across Hamilton County. I raise one national issue, one local issue for you to consider. Chairman, we have a young man, his name is William Mayo. And William Mayo has served 15 years of his life in jail in Georgia for a crime he did not commit. This is an issue that the Cincinnati branch of the NAACP has been charged to deal with in Georgia. So we're asking you, and we'll continue to ask the country and ask the people here to stand with us in calling for the freedom of William Mayo. We must look very closely at Maggie Williams. Listen closely, and I know the night is late. An African-American woman, tortured, raped, brutalized in West Virginia. And we spend more time talking about O.J. Simpson and not one word about him. And we're walking around talking to people and don't understand that a woman has been raped and sodomized in West Virginia, and they won't even charge her with a hate crime. See, there's work that we have to do across the nation. And we appreciate so much a man like Chairman Conyers to come here and share with us the importance of changing our forts and us voting so that we move our country forward. I want to thank my family. I want to thank the executive committee, my parents, siblings, and my wife for all of your support in pulling this event together tonight. So thank all of you.